She is known to be a massive otaku, but she was also one of the strongest idols you'd ever likely meet. Even when things looked a bit murky for her, she beat the odds to become one of the most famous faces in Japan. This is going to be an interesting one. In this episode of Otaku Files, we talk about Sashihara Rino. Most of us outside of Japan may not be aware of some of the more interesting personalities within the Japanese otaku landscape, so I thought I'd do a little video series and try to shed some light on these individuals. This is Otaku Files. There are quite a number of major idols that have managed to turn themselves into massive celebrities in Japan, and in this video, we are going to talk about one of them. However, this former idol's journey hasn't exactly always been a smooth one. Sashihara Rino, or Sashshi as she is affectionately known as is big of a name as you can get in the Japanese celebrity sphere. Currently, among other things, a producer and TV personality, Sashshi was known for her time in AKB48 and also HKT48, something connected to another thing she is known for, overcoming controversy. I'll touch upon this a bit later. Sashshi was born in the city of Oita, located in the prefecture of Oita. She grew up with her brother, who is 5 years older than her, and apparently because of this age gap, they actually didn't spend that much time living together, as they would both move out when they were still quite young. However, Sashshi really liked her brother, and apparently she got good at fighting games thanks to his influence. Oh, and she hates Shiitake and Hijiki because her brother did. Hijiki is pretty nice though. But she does have fond memories with her family, like how her father would constantly take them to the quote-unquote pool, which all of them knew would actually just be a riverbed. Sashshi, though, was apparently more of an indoors type of kid, preferring to read books and play with dolls. She would also start taking piano lessons from when she was around 4 years old. In elementary school, Sashshi was apparently just an ordinary kid that didn't really stand out. However, it's during elementary school that she would get into something that would end up changing her life. Idols. More specifically, Morning Musume, who she got to know through the TV program Asayan, and getting really into the song Love Machine. I also have a video on Morning Musume for those interested. Oh, and Sashshi's Oshi, aka favorite member, was apparently 6th generation member Kamei Eri. Yep, before becoming an idol herself, she was actually an idol otaku. During her second year of elementary school, Sashshi would get her hands on the ultimate thing every otaku needs, a computer. And through it, she would discover the wonderful world of online forums, including Ni-Channeru, where she says she got into several arguments with other users. It apparently was her duty to defend her Oshi. Any gift money Sashshi received during the New Year's, known as Otoshidama in Japanese, she would spend on things like Morning Musume prize lotteries. And she would also start trading Morning Musume trading cards at school. Yes, she became quite the hardcore idol otaku, becoming a fan of not just Morning Musume, but Hello Project in general. For those that want to know, Hello Project, or Haropuro for short, is the umbrella name for all the female recording artists and groups under the talent agency Upfront Promotion. Morning Musume is also a part of Hello Project. Sashshi would even connect with other idol fans, which apparently came about when she started to go to Haropuro concerts and events that would take place in her region of Kyushu. And since there weren't that many Haropuro fans that were young girls, Sashshi garnered a lot of attention and supposedly even became famous within Kyushu. Interestingly, probably linked to this, one fellow fan that she would get to know would be Kashiwagi Yuki, who would also become an AKB48 member. Small world. However, Sashshi's school years weren't always filled with happiness. In fact, at one point, she even stopped going to school. She doesn't remember much, but says that someone in her second year of middle school sent a letter to her home telling her not to come to school. Sashshi believes it was one of her classmates and had a faint idea as to who it might have been, but not being that mentally tough, she decided to just not go to school. Her mother was understanding about the whole situation, but told her at the very least she must still study, so Sashshi ended up going to a cram school instead. Luckily, she says the teacher there was very kind to her, but it's also during middle school that a more positive life-changing event would happen for her. She went to Fukuoka to see AKB48 live. Why was it life-changing? Because thanks to that concert, Sashshi decided that she herself wanted to become an idol. AKB48's auditions would take place in Tokyo, not very close to her city of Oita. Besides, Sashii just didn't think her mother would let her take the audition. But surprisingly, her mother had no problem with it. She believes that it's probably because her mother was just relieved that she wanted to go somewhere that wasn't the cram school, as Sashii was living a bit like a hikikomori at the time. In 2007, at 14 years old, Sashii took what would become the 5th Gen audition. Her singing probably wouldn't win her any awards, and she said the staff members looking at her all had stern faces, making her doubt she would go through. But amazingly, after 3 stages, she, along with 12 others, managed to pass, being selected to become a trainee. Sashii would then end up moving to Tokyo when she was just 15 years old. At first, she lived with some fellow members in a dorm for around 1 or 2 months before her mother decided to move to Tokyo too. Her mother apparently didn't have any issues with moving to Tokyo. In fact, she got a job there and with her co-workers would even go sightseeing. Her father, though, suddenly found himself in the house, all alone. Oh dear. In March 2008, Sashii would make her first appearance on stage as a back dancer. 5 months later, she would become an official member of Team B. And not soon after, she would be selected as one of the members for the single Ogoe Diamondo. Sashii made it. She was actually an idol. She would also start appearing in various AKB48 TV programs where her personality would really shine through. Unlike most, Sashii didn't mind showing that imperfect side of herself. In fact, it became a part of her image, especially after a certain bungee jump challenge which she was unable to complete. In a group that was all about striving for perfection, she really stood out and made her seem very relatable. But on the flip side, Sashii was actually very funny, had great comebacks, and wasn't afraid of making jokes at her own expense. She wasn't too bad on the eyes either. In other words, she was a natural on camera, and added onto that, she was pretty open about being an idol otaku. She would also exhibit exceptional MC skills during theatre performances and other AKB48 events. Sashii would end up climbing the ranks, turning into a really popular member of AKB48. She even ended up getting her own TV show called Sashiko no kuse ni kono bangumi wa AKB to wa mattaku kankei arimasen. Things were looking good. That was until the Japanese tabloid magazine Shukan Bunshun published an article claiming that Sashii had dated a fan. It also included an interview with the supposed ex-boyfriend. Although at first Sashii said they were just friends, she did come to admit there was indeed a relationship. As I've talked about many times before, AKB48 were quite known for their dating ban. Sashii thought it was all over. She went to AKB48's producer Akimoto Yasushi, apologized, and said that she would quit the group. But Akimoto Yasushi said to her before she quits, he wanted her to show her appreciation to AKB48. How exactly? By helping out HKT48. HKT48 was the third sister group of AKB48, and at that time, they were apparently really struggling, not being a very popular group. Even Sashii heard there just wasn't anyone interesting in there. She agreed. To fans, Sashii being transferred to HKT48 was seen as a punishment. But, probably even to her own surprise, she thrived in HKT48 and actually did what Akimoto Yasushi wanted. She helped elevate the group to a whole new level. In fact, just by being transferred there, it placed a rather large spotlight on the group in general. Her approachable personality helped her establish relations with HKT48 members very quickly, and her experience proved vital to them. One of the other things that started within this new Sashii arc is her being a producer. More specifically, soon after her transfer, an idol event known as Daikai Yumi Matsuri Idol Rinji Sokai that she produced would be held. Many different idol groups came together for what would be known as a legendary idol event. Honestly, a whole different video could be done about Sashii's time in HKT48, but there is one important thing that happened while she was in there that I need to talk about. In the 2013 election, to everyone's surprise, Sashii won first place. After the quote-unquote scandal, no one imagined her winning, and if anything, expected that her rank might have decreased. One contributing factor seems to be that her fan base actually didn't leave her, since she never portrayed herself as being some sort of pure available girlfriend. Instead, she was a relatable, funny, and hardworking person which many recognized. Sashi's achievements continued well up until her graduation concert in 2019. Even after her graduation, Sashshi the producer never stopped. In fact, she has even produced 3 different idol groups: Equal Love, Not Equal Me, and Nearly Equal Joy. As usual, I'll put some links in the description box below so you can check out what she's been up to recently. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This was another request video, this time for the lovely Sashihara Rino. Of course, I've heard of her, I think everyone in Japan has heard of her, but I didn't know about her story. She managed to accomplish something that I don't hear very often. Usually a quote-unquote scandal like that can really destroy an idol's career. Anyway, if you have anyone else you'd like me to cover, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Thanks again, guys. Take care. Peace.